Hi guys, we are Living Water na hii ni hustle yetu mtaani.
Well, integrating into the business was easy because on the graphic side. So what we used, or what we had a niche for, was personalized branding, which made it easier for us because I was a designer by profession or practice, so to speak. So it was easier for us to do personalized branding for events, weddings. We even had some in churches and obviously clubs. So it was cheaper for us because that way you don't need to ask for, or rather hire a designer to do it, because I'm a designer, so that was pretty much my input to it.
The grand plan was that we work towards our strengths. So because Tony is the design guy, the art guy, this guy was that guy who was going to get us to that next level with design work. And because Kwe is that lady, that girl who's good with numbers, like Kwe sees numbers, she gets excited. I don't get it, but well, I've grown to understand it now. So she's the numbers chick, she's the strategy chick, so she was the one who was going to take that role. For me at the time, it was supposed to be legal, supposed to draft the documents, and there was someone else who was in marketing, and there's also someone else who was supposed to be in charge of production. So to speak, it was the A-team. But as they say, mambo kwa ground ni different. You get there and you discover that you can do so much more than what you think you can, what you think you studied. So I feel like it was a good opportunity for us guys to learn and to look within, because we've developed other strengths as we've gone along, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I can say I'm still being a designer, I'm a marketer, so that also is a strength. Like you grow into something else, and this has really boosted us to that point. Koi is even grown much bigger. She's wacha ni mwacha apige debe.
Entrepreneurship, the journey is actually, it's madness. It's actually total madness. If you see an entrepreneur out there, hey, just give them a hug, yeah? We go through such dark days of trying to figure out how you're going to pay people, the next plan. Are you doing enough? Are you not doing enough? It's been a journey, but I'm grateful to God. He's brought us this far. We've come very close with Yvonne as a result, and as much as we were childhood friends. Tony's a brother to me, and it's because of the journey that we walked together. Yeah.
When we started, as we said, we were 18. That was the plan, But life happens. And you find that people have, there are other things that happen in life. People get families, people have bills, so you can't sustain the madness of entrepreneurship. You have to get another job. And so when you're left, for those who are left, I feel like it took us a bit of time. We were all over the place. Yeah, trying to understand what you're good at, trying to understand who your market is, trying to understand what your future plans are. And in all that madness, I feel like one of the biggest lessons that we learned as partners is that you have to have very specific rules if you want to grow, and accountability. Because you have specific rules, there's accountability. Once there's that, at least you can move forward. Once you set targets, there are people who are in charge of certain projects, and the people who are accountable for that. So I feel like that's one of the biggest lessons we learned.
We synced really well. Like you have the same vision, so you're pretty much like talking to yourself. I mean, man, we have the same hairstyle, so it doesn't get more sync than that. Jeshila wanadredi.
One of the biggest lessons is always have a plan, So, especially when you're young, you can be haphazard, You can be all over the place. So, they were told, write that business plan. I know vitu kwa ground is different, but just have a plan that you're constantly looking at, that you're constantly working towards. At some point, I think now we are all trying to just figure life out, and life is happening to Yvonne differently from the way it's happening to me. So if there was a plan that we're looking at, always, and we are aligned, I think would have moved faster.
I remember at some point when just before we could afford our first car was a Nissan Caravan, and guys used to call it a mat, and we used to get so annoyed because it's not a matatu, it's a delivery van. Anyway, so we used to drive it. Koi and I used to drive it because we used to do the deliveries, and it was such a blessing because I remember before that, for me, one of my lowest moments was I know, these guys know the story. One of my lowest moments was just before we got that truck, because now we're getting clients. Of course, our friends are sick of us. May they bless you guys. Mbarikiwe.
Mad love.
Mpate gari mingi. Because now we were a nuisance. So by the time we got to that very point, before we got actually alone, I remember there was a day I was with Koi and a friend of ours, and we were walking. We were in industrial area. We were walking, wondering what we were going to do for deliveries, because now our clientele was growing and our delivery system wasn't consistent. So I remember we walked past CMC and I saw a Maruti, guys. A Maruti. I cried. As in, I was just telling God, me, I just want a Maruti. Even if you give us a Maruti, me, I'm fine. But here we are now. So consistency. No matter how hard it gets, you just keep on pushing. You just have to keep on pushing. So yeah, at some point my dream was a Maruti. Yeah.
There's a lesson there, like our hearts were so set on the Maruti, but God had this plan to give us a van which could carry more. But us, we couldn't see how we are not this Maruti. Then I mean, you're having a conversation with a friend and they tell you, oh, by the way, we have money as a bank, come, we'll give you a loan. This is what you'll qualify for. And you discover, thank God we didn't get that Maruti.
I know, right?
We'd have had to replace it really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, but and also remember, actually when you got the van, I remember telling my mom, like, I own a van. Like, you really own? Yeah, we got a van. She was so excited, like, hey man, doing good, man, doing good. So there's also that sense of, again, just don't fear. I guess what I'm trying to say is we have our own limits, but as Koi said, let's not be limited with our imagination. Also, God has other dreams, bigger dreams than what we have.
We need to think big. Just go for it. Go for that dream. If you fail, at least you'll fail while you're moving. And fail forward, fail often,
and fail fast.
Fail fast. Yeah.
If you're doing something, go all in. Think big. Read. That's another thing. I feel like maybe for us, we were too engrossed doing the day-to-day of the business that we didn't step out to look at the business as a whole. That I know for sure that stifled our growth to some point. So for me, my advice would be, by the read, watch those YouTube channels, research, listen to podcasts, anything that can help you in your journey, whatever your journey may be. Whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's even employment, whatever it is, just read and have information. Knowledge is power. Knowledge, I never used to understand what that means. But honestly, the more information you have about whatever it is, you're at an advantage.
Yeah, just to echo Yvonne's words, like, just telling someone like that thing, I always refer to YouTube as YouTube University. Like, you literally don't have an excuse for not knowing anything. Like, you'll be asked in, you're like, hey, wait, even that whole joke around, when in doubt, Google it. Like, if someone tells you something you're doubting, if you don't know anything. So basically, you have no excuse not to achieve or not to gain anything you want. It's all in your dream.